I apologize for not recording your lovely prayer, Noah. So it's funny, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get right into it. There's quite a bit of information this evening. And I want to say that part of the reason we got what happened? Sorry. Part of the reason we got so interested in energy efficiency is that we held a wonderful webinar with Dr. Catherine Hayhoe and Reverend Lennox Yearwood in 2021 during the pandemic. And Dr. Hayhoe is a renowned climate scientist and also an evangelical Christian. And she told us on that webinar that 60% of the world's, the US greenhouse gas emissions could be eliminated through energy efficiency alone. So coupled with the rising energy costs and the strain that congregations find themselves under, working on energy efficiency seemed like the absolute natural choice. Why is this not going forward? Sorry, I'm having a few technical difficulties here. Oh. Sorry, this is. Oh. I apologize. Does not normally happen to me. All right, back to this. So the first thing I want to do actually is talk about, this is something I added today. So there is actually legislation on energy efficiency that did not make it out of the Appropriations Committee 2 days ago in Connecticut. House Bill 5634 was a modest proposal to restore $20 million in funding for the Home Energy Solutions and Home Energy Solutions income eligible programs. You will hear about these in my presentation. This money was raided from the Energy Efficiency Fund a few years ago and has not been returned. This was a modest return of those funds. So what we're asking legislators to add it to the budget for the state. Without this $20 million, the workforce that we have for energy efficiency will be gravely impacted. Contractors will have to let people go. They'll have to reduce their workforce. People looking for these programs will not be able to access them as quickly. We obviously know we need this energy efficiency work to be done. And if we don't have the workforce in place, we will not be well positioned as a state to receive the funds from the Inflation Reduction Act, which I will also talk about a little bit later. So this is why I put this slide in here. There are numbers and for both Speaker Ritter and Senate President Looney. Again, these are Connecticut state legislators. And then we're also asking you to contact your representative and your state senator to ask them to prioritize this. Connecticut has only a legislative session through about the middle of June this year. So there's not a lot of time left to restore this funding. And I'm very hopeful that you will be able to reach out to these folks and urge them to do it. So let's talk about climate change. Climate change is obviously caused by rising greenhouse gases. It has caused 5 1,000-year rainfall events last year in Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois, California, and Texas. Flooding displaced 30% of Pakistan residents. It caused $186 billion of damage in the US last year alone, with 18 $1 billion events. There were crushing heat waves in Europe. I don't know if you remember how many thousands of people died from those heat waves in Europe last summer. And energy justice is also obviously a huge concern. Low-income houses have an energy burden that is 3 times higher than higher income households, and low-income households are much less likely to be energy efficient. I will tell you a story from Waterbury. I was talking to this woman, and she was living in housing that was not insulated, but she had electric heat up in her bedroom. So during the winter, she would try to heat her whole apartment with that heating system that was upstairs, but it didn't, heat rises, so it didn't ever get down to the living room. So the living room was freezing. The bedroom, on the other hand, was boiling. So they were never comfortable. They were always either freezing downstairs in their living area or unable to sleep during the night because it was so hot up there. And they were paying over $1,000 in electric heat every month. So this is, to me, this really struck home in terms of why this is so unfair for people that are already struggling. Oh, and as I mentioned, Dr. Catherine Hayhoe said 60% of our carbon emissions could be reduced with energy efficiency measures. And here are a few facts about energy usage. There we go. That's better. So in Connecticut, in 2020, Connecticut used 12,963 kilowatt hours in electricity, which is higher than 2019. And that coincided with an increase in days over 90 degrees. People don't necessarily realize that our electricity bills are 30% higher in the summer because of air conditioning. Oh, and the average electricity bill in Connecticut is 19% higher than other states. And I have to say, I wrote this particular slide a while ago, and I know electricity bills from Eversource went up drastically in January. And so the typical home that hasn't done energy efficiency measures uses 30% more energy than an energy efficient one. So let's talk about the federal money. So this is new money through the Inflation Reduction Act. It's a pilot program of $50 million called Renew America's Nonprofits. It's a federal program. They will be giving out grants of up to $200,000 to nonprofits that own their own building with an average $150,000 grant. Each project should demonstrate significant energy and cost savings, significant emissions reductions, compelling cost effectiveness, financial need, and alignment with the Justice 40 initiative. So, and I'm sure you're asking, what is the Justice 40 initiative? It is a federal focus on disadvantaged communities in one of these following areas: climate change, clean energy, energy efficiency, clean transit, affordable and sustainable housing, training and workforce development, remediation and reduction of legacy pollution, and the development of clean water and wastewater infrastructure. Disadvantaged communities can be identified through the Climate and Economic Justice Screening Tool. And it's linked in this presentation. I will send it out to you. Most of the cities in Connecticut, Bridgeport, Hartford, Waterbury, Wyndham, Danbury, are considered a Justice 40 initiative community. And then there were some portions of city, parts of Manchester, parts of Vernon, East Hartford. So the important thing is, if your house of worship wants to apply for this grant, they would need to be in this Justice 40 community. And actually, I say that, let me get into the application process. And let me apologize also. We're just getting some of this information now. Not everything has been released. So I had a meeting with the executive director for the Energy and Environmental Solutions group from Washington, D.C. last week to go over this. And we identified some of the questions. And one of my questions is, do all of the applying houses of worship need to be in the Justice 40 initiative community, or does it have to be a majority and you could have some of them? And so what is covered and who is eligible? So within this is an energy efficiency program. So it's energy efficiency, lighting, insulation, HVAC, roofing, which is interesting. That's generally not covered in energy efficiency stuff, but it is here. Fuel switching, but I think that really means, say, from like coal to natural gas. I don't think it includes fuel switching from renewables, but that is one of the questions we identified in our call last week. And appliances. And any nonprofit that's a 501c3 that owns their own building is eligible. So the application process, and this is where we did a webinar in February talking about this program. And at that point, we thought that every nonprofit that wanted to apply for this funding would be applying. And then the federal government decided to streamline it, and they've created basically 3 tiers of participation. A prime recipient that will receive the funds and manage projects of 15 to 20 projects about the size of, say, $150,000 to $200,000 grant. Subrecipients, and that would be a church or synagogue or mosque that wants to participate, and then partners who would be vendors and the people, say, at Energize Connecticut. So the reason I'm bringing this to your attention now is the application process for the subrecipients is it's going to be a lot of work in terms of finding out what you would like to do, what the energy savings and the cost savings will be. So it's good to get started on that process. Now, fortunately, Connecticut has a lot of really good programs in place to help us move this forward. So in 2023, and I'm going to weave in discussion about the federal programs into this conversation. So our energy efficiency program is we are asking your house of worship to participate in the Small Business Energy Advantage program. That is the Energy Advantage audit program for small businesses and houses of worship qualify. We're also asking all of our participating houses of worship to hold a home weatherization campaign in your house of worship with the goal of getting 25% of your members to sign up for it. And we can supply you with a toolkit of brochures, flyers, bulletin announcements, and social media posts. Right now we have several pieces of literature from the Energize Connecticut folks, as well as a fact sheet on climate change, a fact sheet on energy usage, and an editable flyer that you or I can edit for you to announce your weatherization campaign. And we're also asking you to spread the word by hosting an informational session for 3 religious communities in your area or your denomination. But we found that people like to reach out to religious communities in their town. It can be in person or virtual, and I am happy to attend and speak about the energy efficiency programs and help people understand the programs. So that is what we are working on in 2023. And we already have a lot of congregations doing it. So this is a small grant assistance program. So in 2023, IREGN will be able to award 10 $1,000 small grants to assist houses of worship with energy efficiency measures. We are giving priority to houses of worship in distressed municipality or environmental justice zones. We're doing that based on Connecticut's map, not the federal government. So there are actually more areas that qualify. But participants must complete the small business energy audit and undertake energy efficiency measures. They must host a residential weatherization campaign in their house of worship, and they must help spread the word by hosting an informational session to 3 houses of worship. So basically, if you would like to be a grantee, we would like you to hopefully promote this these weatherization opportunities to other people. So, small business energy assistance. It is a free energy audit for small businesses, in this case, your house of worship. The vendor will come to your house of worship and conduct a thorough audit. We have some vendors that we like that have been really great, happy to make the connection. You can also find one through Energize Connecticut. Once they do the audit, they will provide you with a menu of energy efficiency measures. So you'll be able to look and select and see what you want to do. You don't have to do everything that they offer. One thing that's a little bit different about the SBEA program versus the Home Energy Solutions program is that the vendor that does your audit will be the vendor that does the work. So that is generally the way it works. So if you have questions, could you put them in the chat or the Q&A, and then we can get them later because I may answer them soon. So the cost for the work can either be paid in one sum or it can be spread out over a period of years on your electric bill. So now, something that was started in 2022 is the Micro Business Energy Advantage Program. And this is sort of a subset of the Small Business Energy Advantage Program, and it has a sort of finite amount of money. So you'd want to apply for this soon. But it's based on the usage of your building. So it's perfect for houses of worship that are only used a few times a week. It's based on Eversource customers. It is 100,000 kilowatt hours per year. And generally that works out to a building that is used a couple times a week. If you have something that meets every single day, like a soup kitchen that's using appliances and stuff like that, you might not qualify. But in speaking with the vendor that told me about this program, he said it's very rare that he finds a congregation that doesn't qualify. So if your house of worship qualifies, Energize Connecticut will fund 80% of your project up to a $20,000 total project cost. So a $20,000 project would immediately be rebated for $16,000, and the remaining $4,000 could be paid directly or added to your monthly bill. And Energize Connecticut payments, their loans, are net positive. The length of the loan is 6 months longer than the amount of time you would need to pay it off, so you're always getting a little bit back. Last year, the MBEA program was exhausted, I think, by the end of August. So if you're interested in doing this, I would schedule the same vendor that does the small business energy audit would do this program. They would help you apply for this, determine if you're eligible, and then move you through the program. So those are the two, and so this is why also doing the energy audit, the small business energy assessment, and understanding what you want to do, everything that you can do, will be very important if you are interested in applying for the Renew America's nonprofits. In terms of, you all would be subrecipients. In terms of a prime recipient, we have a couple options. IRE-GEN is investigating being a prime recipient. One of the key factors will be if when the grant is officially announced in a few weeks, is whether or not there will be funding in there for the prime recipients to manage the grant. It will probably be $3 to $4 million, and like I said, 15 to 20 projects. And managing a government grant is quite a lot of work. So I think for a lot of nonprofits, they're waiting to see if there will be any financial support for that. Another option, if IRE-GEN can't take it on or isn't selected as a prime recipient, would be potentially Interfaith Power and Light, which is a national group that will be looking, that is investigating and has the same questions that we do, is investigating being a prime recipient. And then a third option would be if there is a Connecticut nonprofit or environmental organization that would like to take it on. I don't know if they would make a municipality or the state government a prime recipient, but for your sake, understanding, going through the audit process and putting together your portfolio of what you would like to do, the energy savings, the cost savings, that is going to be critical to being able to apply and be accepted into the program. So those are the different federal and state programs available. One of the other things that I think will make Connecticut's applications into this federal program attractive is the financing that is available, the incentives and the rebates and the financing that is available through the small business program, through their loans. The loans can be financed up to 15 years out. And so that really gives you an opportunity to spread out payments for a very long time. The federal government will be looking for some leverage. So if they give out a $150,000 grant, it will greatly help your case if you're able to say, we had all these rebates, we're able to finance this much over a period of time. So I think that would all be really helpful. With a Justice 40 community, they generally only ask for about 10% match. So it's not a huge amount, especially spread out over several years. So that's also something to consider. But that's why starting with the energy audit process sooner rather than later is critical. The other thing about the government is once they open the process for applications, the window will only be open for a few months. So knowing how, congregations work on committees and whatnot, I think moving forward expeditiously will be very, very helpful for you. And then we'll keep you posted on prime recipients and who you would be able to apply through, whether it's IREGN or IPL or another organization. So Home Energy Solutions. So this is the weatherization program for individuals. It's for homeowners and renters, and it is a program of Energize Connecticut. And it is paid for by a $1 to $2 fee on your Eversource bill every single month. So there are two versions of this program. There's one with a copay and one for folks who are income eligible. So how does it work? So there's an application process. It's very straightforward. Homeowners sign the application themselves. Renters need their landlord to sign. The energy weatherization company will come to your home or apartment and provide several weatherization services. The copay for the market rate program, as it's called, is currently, I think, $50. And for the income eligible program, it is completely free. And on average, the services are valued at close to $1,000. And I will tell you, I convinced my landlord in New London to do this program. I lived in the weirdest duplex ever. And he did the program, and he followed all of their recommendations, including insulation. And his fuel bill for our duplex was cut in half. So it was a very significant benefit. He was over the moon. So what happens during the HES visit? First, they will conduct a blower door test and perform an energy audit. And that's literally what the blower door test does. It looks like. Once they identify where leaks are, they will weather strip around windows and doors, and that can really make a big difference in the draftiness of your house or your apartment. He will install door sweeps. They will swap out incandescent light bulbs with LED light bulbs. And once it's completed, this is critical, you qualify for great rebates on different energy efficiency measures like insulation. And here are some of the rebates and incentives. It's up to $1.70 per square foot on approved insulation projects that are recommended during your visit. That's almost half. $200 for qualifying central air conditioning systems, $50 for replacement of certain energy inefficient appliances, $650 for inefficient gas furnaces, and $750 for inefficient gas boilers. I would say we're going to do a webinar on heat pumps in June. So before you replace your gas furnaces and gas boilers, please investigate heat pumps because they are incredibly energy efficient and much nicer for the environment. There they are. There's $100 for replacement of each single pane window with a qualifying Energy Star double pane window. And then there are significant rebates for air and ground source heat pumps. So there are air source heat pumps up to $15,000 per home, and ground source heat pumps up to $7,500 per home for existing electric or natural gas, and up to $15,000 per home for qualifying ground source heat pumps for oil or propane heated homes. So heat pumps are amazing. I have them in my house. They're incredibly energy efficient, and they keep your place hot, warm in the winter, and then cool in the summer. And they can keep up with these New England winters for sure. So the Home Energy Solutions, the regular market rate program is very straightforward. The income eligible program is a little bit more work, but it's not bad. And this is actually where I think the religious communities come in. This is a way to really help people who are struggling in your church community or in your community at large. The income eligible program is free. There is no copay, and the deeper weatherization services are free. This is also available for homeowners and renters, and it's available for single family homes, 2 to 4 unit apartment buildings, and large apartment buildings. So it's available for everyone. And so you're probably wondering, what does income eligible mean? And so I have this little chart. These are the income eligible requirements. And as you can see, it's actually fairly high because the goal is to catch people for whom weatherization would just be out of the realm of possibility. So, if you're a single mom or a single father, single parent with 2 children, and you make under $64,000, you will qualify. You have a family size of 3 and your maximum annual income is $64,230. You would qualify for this program. So renters and landlords. So Home Energy Solutions and the Home Energy Solutions income eligible is definitely for both large apartment buildings and the smaller apartment buildings of 2 to 4 family residents, of which there is a lot in Connecticut. So the programs are for the utility bill payer, whether that person is the homeowner or the renter. And 31% of renters in Connecticut are considered extremely low income. So this is, again, why this is a justice issue. Here's what's interesting. If 50% of renters in a 2 or family home, or 2/3 of renters in a 3-family, so two apartments in a 3-family, qualify for Home Energy Solutions income eligible, all of the tenants get all of the benefits. It is not based on the landlord's wealth. The landlord could be Jeff Bezos, but if that person has income eligible folks renting from them, then those folks can take advantage of this program. And that is because the goal is to help the people who are living in the apartments. Every renter, though, needs to fill out an application with a name, address, and provide a utility bill. And like I said before, there's no copay. It also includes assessment, air sealing, and aerators. And the IE program also includes LED light bulbs. If no one is income eligible, then the landlord pays for the light bulbs. Large apartment buildings are actually very easier ones to do for multifamily. That qualifies as 5 or more apartments. And the only person who has to really fill out the application is the owner, and the utility has to approve it. So it happens fairly quickly. Residents don't have to do anything. The process is between the vendor, the owner, and the utility. And once the application is approved, the first visit is within 1 to 2 weeks. I will say that the smaller apartment buildings are probably the most work, because you have to get each of the renters to fill out the application, determine their income eligibility, and help them through the process. It's good to find, we do have vendors that do apartment buildings on a regular basis, and they do the income eligible program. So those are the vendors you obviously want to contract with that are very familiar with the program and can help people move through it. And the work is completed within 1 to 2 months. So it's fairly quick. I will say for single family residents right now, there is a bit of a backlog. There's a wait for the Home Energy Solutions program. And that actually just really highlights why we need that funding that I talked about in the very beginning, that $20 million to be put into the budget. We need to be increasing the workforce for energy efficiency, not decreasing it. And if that money is not put into our state's budget, we will wind up decreasing the workforce, which will really harm our energy efficiency work efforts in the state. So increased opportunities for weatherization. They do the installation of weather stripping and door sweeps and interior caulking. They install low flow shower heads and aerators. They insulate the attics and the sidewall and the basement ceilings. Again, I've talked to folks in different cities where there is no insulation in their homes whatsoever. It is interior wall and exterior wall and nothing in between. The repair or replacement of windows, cleaning, tuning, testing, and repairing of heating systems, replacement of incandescent lighting with LEDs, installation of carbon monoxide detectors, blower door guided air sealing, and access to other rebates, financing, and incentives. And so I will also say that some of the old buildings in Connecticut have asbestos. And there was a new program started last year on barrier remediation, because obviously they can't do the blower door test if you have asbestos in your basement. And so it gets much more difficult to do the program. So there's now there's a small pilot program for barrier remediation for any home that tried to do the Home Energy Solutions weatherization program and was rejected for mold or asbestos or another substance like that. they now have funding to remediate that, and then the person could do the weatherization. So I think that's critical. I know we have a lot of homes in Connecticut with asbestos. So signing up for Home Energy Solutions or Home Energy Solutions IE or the SBEA program, you can sign up at energizect.org. You can call 1-877-WISE-USE. I will follow up this webinar with these links, and as well as some vendors that we've worked with. iRegen doesn't, we specifically don't recommend vendors themselves. Like, we have vendors that we like, but I'm not in the business of saying this is this official iRegen energy efficiency vendor. But I've heard great things about this program, about the vendors that participate in it. So I feel good that you'll have a good experience. If you do need some help, please let me know, reach out to me. I'm happy to, help you make those connections. So before I open it up for questions, how are we doing on time? Oh, 7:35, not too bad. We have a couple lobby days. We have a lobby day for Senate Bill 4, which is an act concerning current and future housing. That bill has a lot of tenant protections, affordable housing protections, but also includes a lot on energy efficiency for current and future affordable housing. So that's really critical. And then we have a lobby day on Wednesday, May 24th for the environmental justice bill. So I'll send out a little bit more information about that. Please save the date if you would like to join us up at the Capitol in Hartford. And then we will also be doing a webinar on heat pumps for both houses of worship and individuals on Wednesday, June 7th from 7 to 8 with the folks from Energize Connecticut heat pump team. So they will be there to answer all of your questions. And that will be great. So I put this back up because I wanted, in case anyone wanted to write down some of those numbers, phone numbers or those names and the name of the bill. It's so critical that we get this funding put into the budget. Like I said, the Appropriations Committee met on Monday and they voted on several bills. And this bill was not raised for a vote, which means it as a piece of legislation will not move forward, but it can be added to another bill or to the budget. So that's really what we need right now. And these are also some resources. And again, I will send these resources out to you so you can take a look at them. But now let me get to some questions. The slides will be available afterwards. Is Tallinn, Connecticut in the Justice 40 community? I don't know. That's from Hannes. I'm actually not sure. I know that in the Justice 40, the Climate and Economic Justice tool, there were sections of your area that were in it. A lot of times in Connecticut's, and I'll send you out Connecticut's map of their environmental justice communities and their distressed municipalities. They will often create an EJ community around an incinerator. So for instance, in my little town of Preston, most of our town is not an EJ community, but the say 3 to 4 to 5 mile radius around the incinerator is. So you'd have to look at both of these tools, Hannes, and look and see if your house of worship is in that footprint. I will definitely provide a copy of this presentation. David said, we are a church in small Litchfield County town. We're interested in installing solar panels. What programs, if any, would we be able to use? That is a really good question. I would love to talk to you more about that. There are several good programs. Obviously, you could pay for them outright, but there are also the leasing program. I would love to put you in contact with the People's Action for Clean Energy folks. They would definitely be able to help you. And I actually remember, I think that's a Roxbury Congregational Church. I think I went out there about 11 years ago to talk to you about an energy efficiency program we were running at that time. So I would love to. And also, actually, we did a webinar on houses of worship installing solar. I can send you that link if you'd like to see it. And we can also, that was actually an in-person event pre-pandemic. We could actually do a webinar on installing solar panels, especially now that these energy efficiency programs from the federal government are allowing roofing to be included, and that's why I'm sure roofing is a key part of being able to install solar. So I will get back to you on that, David. So Manny wanted to say, so not able to get a second opinion, like for an auto repair or even a personal health condition, to see another medical specialist. I'm assuming you're talking about the Small Business Energy Advantage program and the fact that the vendor you have for that is the vendor that you use. I don't know if you could get a second opinion, but I think the free energy audit, I mean, I don't know if someone will come out and do another audit, but no, we thought that initially I thought a few months ago that you could actually shop it around. I mean, maybe you could take their recommendations to another person and say, you know, these are their recommendations, but the goal for this particular program is that you are using that vendor for the work. Is there a way to apply for work that has already been completed, such as installation? Brian, I don't know if you're referring to the federal program. I think all of the work through the federal program would need to be work that is proposed. I don't think any work that has already been completed is eligible for rebates. If you did the work through these programs, you would qualify. So no, I think if you did installation on your own, then it wouldn't qualify. You'd have to do either the Home Energy Solutions program or the SBEA program, and then you qualify for the rebates. So that's the answer. Is there a fee for the audit to begin this work? So no, the Small Business Energy Audit and then the Micro Business Energy program that's sort of wrapped into that, there's no fee for that. That is a free audit. And I think that's probably why the vendor is that does the audit is the vendor that does the work, because it's actually quite a lot of work to do the audit, and then they put together the whole proposal. And so no, but it's a free audit, so it's very well worth it. Yeah, second opinion. Yeah, so no, I mean, I don't think you could go through this program and get a second opinion. Manny's asking if there's a second opinion on the energy audit. So people are saying, oh, Carol wanted to know, is there a bill similar to House Bill 5634 in Massachusetts? Carol, I do not know. But I would say, I did notice there were some Massachusetts folks and some people outside of Connecticut, in fact, Illinois, I think. So there are interfaith power and lights in almost every state in the country. And so IREJN is the Connecticut affiliate for the Interfaith Power and Light people. So Massachusetts has a Massachusetts Interfaith Power and Light. So those are the folks who would definitely know the answers to these questions. They stay very on top of legislation, state and federal, and they would know. So Erica also was wondering about, okay, she was also wondering in solar panel installation. I feel another webinar coming on solar, because I think there's just a lot of interest. I will share, David and Erica, I will share what I know with you on that. I will introduce you to the folks at People's Action for Clean Energy. They're sort of, Bernie Pelletier used to be on our board. He is a solar guy and he's awesome. Oh, Jean also wants to know. Okay, yes. So, oh, Hannah asked for the solar webinar. Yes. The previous webinars are available on our YouTube channel, and I will send that link out. Are there any programs for installing EV charging stations? Peter, that is an interesting question. There are going to be programs, I think, through the federal government. The federal government, I mean, these bills passed last year and they're still working out the details. So there will be, there are programs through the federal government. There are also programs, I have to apologize for my interpreters, I'm talking too fast. But there are programs for installing EV charging stations at your house of worship, and I can send you more information. So the toolkit that we have for the congregations will include a lot of materials from Energize Connecticut folks, which will include the Home Energy Solutions and Income Eligible brochure, brochures for SBEA, case studies for Home Energy Solutions, case studies for heat pumps, a brochure on heat pumps. They do have a flyer on EV charging stations, and also they have a really cool mobile exhibit for energy efficiency. So if you wanted to do like a big kickoff event for your weatherization campaign, and have like a table and stuff. That would actually be a fun thing to have outside because the kids and all the people can go through it. It's like a renovated bus. So it's really neat. Anyway, Sarah said parsonages will be charged the $50. And this is true. Parsonages and I think rectories are considered homes. And so they would be under the Home Energy Solutions, whereas the others are small businesses. So cool. Are there town restrictions for Home Energy Solutions? You know what? So the town restrictions are, so these are Home Energy Solutions is through Eversource and through United Illuminating. So the towns that don't participate with it are the ones that have their own utilities, Groton, Norwich, Wallingford, those folks. However, they have now started offering their own programs. So it would just be a matter of contacting that utility person and asking what the options are. And Sarah also wants to know about solar. Everybody wants to know about solar. This is great. I love it. When I did my energy efficiency webinar in February and January and February, it became really clear that people had a lot of questions about heat pumps. So that's why we have the heat pump webinar coming up, because heat pumps they've gotten way more efficient. They can handle large spaces and they can handle very cold temperatures. So they are a great opportunity now to reduce your energy usage. So let's see, that was all in the Q&A. Let me see what we have in the chat. Oh boy. Anna, can you hear me now? Oh, nope, people are just saying, ooh, I tried to talk slow and I don't know how well I did. All right, I'm gonna take this off, stop share. All right, so does anyone have any other questions? Oh, Nancy has a question. I'm going to allow Nancy to talk. Nancy is our board chairperson.
I don't have a question, Terry, but I just wanted to tell you how great all this information is. I mean, I had no idea the depth of this Energize Connecticut and what they do. So I'm happy to know all about this. So thank you for all this information you've gathered together.
Oh, you're welcome, honestly. And this is why I think that for the Renew America's nonprofit, why I think Connecticut will be very competitive, because we do have great programs at our state level that we can leverage to make our applications more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that we could do a great job, and it's just a matter of getting 15 to 20 projects together. Do we have 15 to 20 houses of worship that want to participate? And my big question to them is, say there were 20 houses of worship, do they all need to be in Justice 40 communities, or could we have 15 in Justice 40 communities and 5 that aren't? It's a question. It's just a question. So, but there are a lot of Justice 40 communities in Connecticut. I'll send out the link for that.
And I would love to have that information about the charging stations, EV charging stations, because our congregation put solar panels on and we generate excess energy. So we're looking for a way to use that energy. And one of the suggestions has been EV charging stations. So I would love to have some of that information, please.
Absolutely. Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, so we do have our toolkit for the weatherization campaign finalized. It was a labor of wordsmithing love, and we're glad to be able to offer it. And we hope it will be helpful. I am happy to come talk to folks either in person or virtually about these programs and answer questions. And hopefully in a few more weeks, I will know more about the federal program. But I do urge folks to do this, start with the Small Business Energy Advantage program as soon as possible for two reasons. One, if you are interested in Renewing America's Nonprofits grant, then you'll want to have all that information. And the other thing is, if you would like to take advantage of the micro business funding of 80% of up to a $20,000 project cost, that money, like I said earlier, did run out by the end of the summer last year. So we are looking at that happening fairly quickly. Let's see, what else do we have? Any other? So much information. Is there a next step document? Yes, I will send out an email to all of the people that registered with sort of the links for this stuff to find out, and also a link to the recording. That I'll put this up on YouTube as long as YouTube cooperates with me. It should be up by later this evening. So Brian said, you mentioned to us that North Stonington is a distressed municipality. Does this qualify us to apply? I believe North Stonington is a distressed municipality for Connecticut. I don't know that it was a Justice 40 community from the federal government. So you would definitely be able to apply for the IRA-JN small grant. I don't know if you'd be able to, you'd qualify for the federal program. But again, I don't know if the federal program is only restricting this just to EJ communities, or if they're going to like go for a 75 or 80%. And the other thing is it's a pilot program. So hopefully we can put together a very strong portfolio and really make the case that, they should come back with much more money next year. $50 million nationally is a pretty small program, but that means every prime recipient will be managing about 20 projects. So Brian said, thank you. Any other questions? Wow, this went by much quicker than I thought. It really is an opportunity to help people that are overburdened, who might not have access to this, and that's why I'm trying to get this word out to as many congregations as I can, because I know there are people that are really struggling to pay their bills. Utility costs are actually a leading cause of homelessness, which is heartbreaking. And greenhouse gas emissions are the reason for climate change. So whatever we can do to address both of those issues is critical. And it's part of why we, do the work that we do within our congregations. I always like to tell folks, we're already addressing these problems. We're just we're reacting to the situations. Religious communities give more money as sort of a group of individuals than any other group of individuals in the country when it comes to responding to disasters, hurricanes, wildfires. Religious communities are great at that. And we have soup kitchens and food pantries and community gardens to help address food deserts and lack of access to fresh produce. So we're already doing a lot of this work. So it's important to try and address climate change from the front end as well. Toby Bishop said, if energy audit is really an electrician, will they recommend things like insulation that they will not implement? Yes. The energy audit, for instance, Energy Solutions Connecticut is an energy vendor that I've been talking to a lot. I've recommended them several times, and they've done a lot of churches, so they understand the needs. But yeah, they will put together a sort of full list of things that you can do. But yeah, they will definitely recommend things like insulation that they would not necessarily put in. And that's a really good question, because then you're actually using I have to look into that, Toby. Thank you for raising that, because if they're going to recommend things that they don't do, then you're getting another vendor. Thank you. I'm going to look into that. Is there anyone else? Let me see here. How are we doing in the chat? Any other questions? So as I mentioned, we have 2 lobby days coming up. Our legislative session this year goes till the middle of June. We do have some really important bills that we're looking at or trying to get passed. A couple of them didn't make it out of appropriations, but a few of them did. And it's important to, push as hard as we can. The environmental justice bill is critical. The housing bill is critical. We're also working to ban neonicotinoids, harmful pesticides. Let's see here. Anything else? No, do you have any questions? Do you run into anything in, oh, Noah's back. Hey there, Noah, sorry.
I think you've answered a lot of the questions that I often encounter. So thank
Great.
you for this diligence and for your willingness to share some more information about solar in the future, because I know that that's also something that not only people on this call but others have questions about.
Sure, yes, definitely. I would say, it's important to do energy efficiency before solar because the solar that you install will be sized on your energy usage. So if you do energy efficiency first and reduce your energy usage, then you will not have to pay as much for a solar array. So you definitely that's why energy efficiency is sort of the first step to reducing your energy usage and then putting on solar. So hopefully everyone who is thinking about solar has also done quite a lot of, will also do the SBEA program if they haven't already, and really take steps to reduce their energy usage because it's the key part of it. But it's great to see so many people so interested in this, and I really hope that we have. I was very glad to see some new folks in the registration because we're always looking to work to expand the sort of work of faith-based environmentalism. It's really critical. Toby Bishop, are any recent examples of churches that did well with such programs like the SBEA or home weatherizations? Yeah, there definitely are. In fact, if you wanted the Energy Solutions Connecticut people, I think they're based in Shelton. They've done several churches, and if you want, I could have you talk to Dennis, who's the person that I talked to over there, and he could sort of explain the different churches. But yeah, no, these are very, very beneficial programs. Connecticut has really, really good weatherization, energy efficiency commitments. So yes, my church, First Baptist Church of West Hartford, did the SBA program several years ago. They probably qualify to do it again. But it was very, very beneficial. We replaced all the lighting and a lot of the exit signs. So it's pretty significant. All right, Toby, I will definitely, I'll send out, like I said, I'll send out this information and you guys can reach out to any vendor you like. And like I said, there are really a lot of good ones. But Toby, what church are you with? I don't know if he's there typing frantically. But anyway, this is great. If we don't have too many more questions, I think we could kind of be done. I left it to 8:30 in case we had questions. But if we don't, then we can go on about our merry way. And I will get this up into YouTube. And if you have any questions, you all have my email. I'll reach out with a follow-up and find out how you're doing and that sort of thing. But really hope that you continue forward with this work. Oh, Toby's at First Church of Woodstock. Great. They're a member of IREGen. Oh, let me say this. If your congregation has not yet joined IREGen, I highly encourage you to do that. We exist on donations, and we're always grateful for donations. For congregations to join, we ask them to donate $100 to $500, depending on their ability to pay. If you want to do more, of course, we would never complain, but we just hope for a large network of committed, faith-based congregations that are concerned about environmental justice. And also, if you'd like to join as an individual, you can also do that. We're also happy and grateful for donations of any size. So let's see here. Any other questions? All right then, folks, it is 7:59. I think we can be finished. Thank you again so much, Noah, for helping me coordinate this webinar. And thank you everyone for attending. I really appreciate your participation.
Thank you, Terry.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody.